If you're the type who avoids crowded places, who prefers to stay home when everyone else is out, who feels a strange fatigue just thinking about being in a large crowd, perhaps you've wondered if there's something wrong with you. The answer is no. In fact, it might be quite the opposite. This way of functioning, this need for silence and space, may be hiding a superpower you were never taught to see. A type of intelligence that doesn't appear in noisy parties, but solves problems that no one else can see. In this video, we'll explore what happens inside Adi and mind that function best away from crowds. This isn't a diagnosis. It's just a way to better understand your body, your mind, and the patterns you carry without realizing it. And who knows, in the end, you might discover that what always seemed like a limitation is actually a silent advantage. If any part of this behavior seems familiar to you, share it in the comments. This is a quiet space to recognize yourself and better understand your own superpowers. People who avoid crowds have bodies that see patterns where others see only chaos. When you enter a crowded place, your body isn't just feeling discomfort, it's processing a huge amount of information at once. Faces, voices, movements, smells, lights. It all comes at once, and the nervous system needs to manage this whirlwind. For some people, this is stimulating. For others, it's exhausting. If you're the second type, it's not because you're weak or antisocial. It's because your body functions like a very sensitive radar. It picks up details that most people ignore. While others are just enjoying the party, you're unconsciously mapping out exits, reading facial expressions, perceiving tensions in the air. Your body doesn't switch off. It's working all the time, and it is precisely this ability to process so many layers at once that transforms into a superpower when you are alone, because then, without the external noise, all that sensitivity turns inward. And that's where the ideas, the solutions, the connections that no one else has been able to make emerge. The body that flees the crowd is not fleeing the world. It is protecting itself in order to see it better. This body has learned to process information on its own because crowds overload its nervous system. Some people recharge their energy by talking. Some people recharge their energy by being silent. If you're the second type, you've probably noticed that after a day full of people, you arrive home completely exhausted. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of willpower. It's that your body spent too much energy trying to process everything that was happening around you. The interesting thing is that, over time, this body learns. It discovers that it functions better when it's alone, that it thinks more clearly when it doesn't have to divide its attention with noise, side conversations, glances, expectations. So it begins to seek these moments of solitude as one seeks fresh air, not out of rejection of people, but out of a need to function. And it is in this silence that the magic happens. Because while others need meetings, debates, and constant exchanges to reach a conclusion, you are able to do this entire process internally. Your body has transformed solitude into a work tool, and this, far from being a weakness, is a rare skill. It is the ability to think deeply without depending on external validation at every step. This is the person who can solve complex problems quietly while others need noisy meetings. Have you ever noticed how some people need to speak aloud to think? They explain the problem, debate, ask for opinions, go back to the beginning, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're the type who prefers to listen, mentally note things down, and then go away to process them alone, you function differently. Your body doesn't need an audience to reason. While the meeting is still in progress, you're already 3 steps ahead. You've already considered the variables, the risks, the alternative solutions. But because you don't verbalize all of this in real time, sometimes people think you're not participating. The truth is, you are participating in a deeper way. You are building the answer from within, brick by brick, in silence. And when you finally speak, it's usually something direct, clear, and well thought out, because you weren't just reacting, you were processing. That's the superpower of someone who doesn't need noise to think, the ability to delve deep into a problem and resurface with something solid. While others are still arguing, you've already solved it. If you've noticed this way of reacting in yourself or someone close to you, right? This sounds like me. This helps this video reach more people who think and feel similarly. On the crowded subway, while everyone else is complaining, this person has already mentally calculated 3 alternative routes. There's a type of mind that never stops. Even when the body is still, it keeps working. If you're the type who observes everything around you, calculating times, predicting movements, thinking of plans B and C even before you need them, you know this feeling well. While others are just waiting, you're mapping out possibilities. On a crowded subway, for example, you're not just standing there complaining about the crush. You've already figured out which door will open closest to the exit, which car usually empties first, what time would be best tomorrow. Your body has learned to transform discomfort into strategy, and that's not anxiety. It's practical intelligence working in the background all the time. This way of thinking might seem tiring at times, but it's also what makes you extremely prepared. You're rarely caught off guard. You've already thought of scenarios that others haven't even imagined. And when something goes wrong, you already have the solution ready. Because while everyone else was relaxing, you were mentally training. That's the superpower of someone who never switches off their mind, always being one step ahead. The superpower is transforming solitude into a laboratory. Every moment alone becomes a mental training session. Some people are afraid of being alone. Others need solitude like they need water. If you're the second type, you've probably noticed that your best moments of clarity happen when no one is around. Not because you don't like people, but because it's in silence that your body can finally organize itself. Every moment alone becomes an opportunity. You review conversations, analyze situations, test ideas in your head, imagine future scenarios. While others need constant external stimulation, you've transformed emptiness into a space for creation. Your body has learned that solitude is not absence. It's the total presence of yourself, and that's where the deepest connections happen. This is a silent but powerful superpower, because while the world values those who speak the loudest, those who stand out the most, those who are always surrounded by people, you are building something different. You are training your mind to function independently, and in the end, when everyone needs external approval to move forward, you already know how to walk alone, and that makes you unbeatable. This body isn't antisocial. It just needs silence for the brain to function at maximum speed. There's a huge difference between disliking people and disliking noise. If you're the type who avoids parties, large gatherings, and crowded places, you've probably heard someone call you antisocial. But the truth is different. You don't have a problem with people. You have a problem with the excessive stimuli that come with them. When you're alone or with just a few people, your body relaxes. Your mind stops wasting energy, filtering out noise, and starts using that energy to really think. It's like someone has lifted a weight off your shoulders. Suddenly, you can reason faster, see further, connect ideas that previously seemed disjointed. It's not magic. It's just your body functioning the way it was designed to function. And that doesn't make you less sociable. It makes you selective. You don't need a lot of people around you. You need the right people at the right times in the right amounts. And when you find those people, you connect in a profound way. Because you're not there just to fill the silence. You're there because you chose to be. And that's the difference between those who need crowds and those who need meaning. It is someone who notices invisible details because their mind is not occupied processing the human noise around them. There's a type of attention that only works in silence. If you're the type who notices things no one else has seen, who perceives when something has changed in the environment, when someone is different, when a detail doesn't quite fit, you know, this way of looking well, while others are distracted by conversations and movements, you are capturing more subtle layers of reality. This happens because your body isn't expending energy on constant social interaction. So you have mental space left to observe. You notice the crack in the wall, the change in tone of voice, the repeating pattern, the contradiction that went unnoticed. It's not that you're smarter. It's that you're paying attention to different things. And that gives you access to information that others simply don't have. This superpower of perceiving the invisible is what transforms quiet people into natural strategists. You don't need to talk much because you've already understood the situation before everyone else. You don't need to put yourself out there because you already know what's going to happen. And when you finally act, it's with precision because you saw what no one else saw, and that, in the real world, is worth more than any beautiful speech. The secret advantage. While groups debate, this person has already thought of 5 different solutions on their own. Some people need a group to think. Some people think better alone and then bring the finished result. If you're the second type, you've probably already had the experience of being in a meeting, hearing the problem, and within minutes having mapped out several possible solutions. But you don't speak up right away. You wait. You observe the debate unfolding while internally you've already solved everything. This isn't arrogance. It's just the way your body has learned to function. While others need to verbalize every step of their reasoning, you do everything internally. You mentally test hypotheses, eliminate what doesn't work, refine what makes sense. And when you finally share, it's usually something direct, practical, and well-structured. Because you weren't just participating in the conversation. You were solving the problem. This is the superpower of those who don't depend on real-time validation. You don't need someone to approve every step of your reasoning to move forward. You trust your internal process, and that makes you incredibly efficient. While entire groups spend hours debating, you've already arrived at the answer, alone, silently, and often with more clarity than any collective debate could achieve. If this explanation has made things clearer about your personality, please comment. Now I understand better. Your participation strengthens this self-awareness community. The body defends solitude because it has learned that true innovation is born in silence, not in the hustle and bustle. If you look at the great ideas in history, many of them weren't born in crowded meetings. They were born in quiet rooms, on solitary walks, in moments of profound solitude, because true innovation demands a type of concentration that noise doesn't allow. And if you're the type who seeks those moments of silence, your body already knows this instinctively. When you are alone, without distractions, without the need to respond to external stimuli, your mind enters a different state. It stops reacting and begins to create. It stops processing what comes from the outside and begins to build something new from within. It is in this space that ideas emerge that no one else has had, not because you are more intelligent, but because you gave your brain the environment it needed to function in depth. This is the superpower of those who protect their own solitude. You're not isolating yourself from the world. You're creating the conditions to contribute to it in a unique way. While others are busy with the constant chatter, you're gestating something original. And when you finally bring it out, it's something no one else could have created, because only you had the courage to remain silent long enough to hear what was being born inside you. The ultimate superpower, transforming the absence of people into the total presence of impossible ideas. There is a type of solitude that is not empty. It is full of thoughts, of possibilities, of entire worlds that only exist inside your head. If you are the type who prefers to be alone not because you hate people, but because you love what happens when you are alone with yourself, you know this feeling well. The absence of external voices allows the internal voices to finally be heard, and that's where the rarest superpower of all lies. While most people need external stimuli to feel alive, you found an inexhaustible internal source. You don't depend on anyone for ideas, for inspiration, for creating meaning. You carry all of that within you. And when the word, you feel full, because you can finally access everything that was waiting to be discovered. This is the gift of someone who has learned to transform solitude into a laboratory of impossibilities. You are not running away from life. You are diving into it in a way that few can. And the ideas that are born from this dive are the ones that change the world. Not because they were shouted in public, but because they were whispered in silence, and you had the sensitivity to listen. If you've made it this far, you've probably recognized at least a part of yourself in this way of functioning. And perhaps now you understand better why you've always preferred to be alone, why crowds tire you, why you think better in silence. It's not a flaw. It never was. It's just the way your body and mind have learned to work together. The world values those who speak loudly, those who stand out, those who are always surrounded by people. But there is a silent power in those who know how to be alone, a power to observe, to think deeply, to create without depending on external approval. And if you have this power, don't let anyone convince you that you need to change. You just need to understand better how it works. Have you ever noticed this type of behavior in yourself or someone you care about? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes, just reading similar stories makes us feel much less alone. If you enjoy content that reveals the hidden superpowers in your personality, subscribe to the channel. Here, we look at common daily habits with a calmer, deeper, and more human perspective.